Yes, Hickok 45, and I'm in a 10 millimeter mood. What did I tell you? Whoa, I shot a whole magazine. Yes, Hickok 45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you, blasting from the hills of Middle Tennessee, home of, adopted home, I guess, of Davy Crockett, Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley. A lot of people came here and stayed. Many are buried here. Yeah, I guess they didn't know that was going to happen. Maybe if they hadn't come to Tennessee, that wouldn't have happened. Actually, it would, wouldn't it? Yeah, no, just kidding, really. Anyway, glad you're here, and it's a good day to be out shooting and standing in the woods again. I remember some of you were here last Sunday, most of you, in fact, so I see a few new faces, so that's always good. Some of you are a little funny looking, but glad you're here. And I'm an expert on funny looking, right? I have looked in the mirror myself, and I taught middle school and high school for a long time. I'm used to looking at a lot of funny faces. Yeah, really. And so were my students. They were very accustomed to looking at one big funny face, weren't they? So anyway, I'm glad to see you and appreciate your support coming here, right? To see a little shooting, a little yakking on Sunday. I really enjoy, weather notwithstanding. It's cold today. I'm not going to complain about it. If I complain too much, I just won't do it. Okay, but and that's a topic right there. Come think of it, complain about people who complain about stuff all the time. Complain once maybe, and then get over it or do something different. Really, like whatever it is, whether it's something you see online, just leave it. Click out if you don't like it. You ever know anybody had a job, they're always complaining? I talked about that before. People on a team, with bad attitude. I'm talking about athletic team, any kind of team, although that word is overused. I sometimes want to gag, everything's a team, right? Corporate team. But yeah, I mean, if you're really unhappy with the company you work for or whatever the heck it is, you can't stand somebody in the public world, their movies or their videos or what, newsflash, just don't watch them, right? Just don't work there anymore. If you can't stand the company you're working for, it makes you look stupid, makes you look incompetent. It must mean you can't do any better, right? Get right down to it. So just bug out, and find a different line of work or something. Although, you know what the deal usually is? Not always, but often when these people go to a new company, guess what they do? Yeah, they take themselves with them. They take their attitude with them. And it's not long before that company is the worst company in the world. And that new manager is the worst manager in the world, or president or vice president or owner, CEO, whatever, is the dumbest in the world, right? Just like the last CEO of the last company they worked for. And of the next 5 companies they will work for, guess what will be the case? Everybody at that company will be an idiot too, right? Yeah, that's kind of the way it works. I've observed human nature for a while. I know how they not everybody's not a troublemaker and a complainer, right? And we all complain at times. Yeah, that's just kind of what we do, It's one thing that, I mean, if you're always happy, you're really easily satisfied with everything. You're probably not going to achieve much, I guess, if you're too easy to please, right? So some of it's legit, of course. There are some companies with idiots working in them, right? And they're, it's not easy to be a good manager. Man, I've been there. It's tough. It's tough. I've had a lot of managers. I've been a manager a couple times, and it's really tough. It's tough. Being in management, if you've not been in management, middle management, especially of any kind, almost, you might be really good at what you do and very good with people, but when you become responsible for a bunch of people or department or whatever it might be, sometimes you could turn into a monster, or you're just amazed that people, especially if you were really good at what you did, you're amazed that people don't just do what they're supposed to do, right? Or they're late on this. You got to have this report, by next Friday or sometime, and there's people, like 20% of them are late on getting that to you or something, and it's like, and you begin to realize, wow, people can be slackers, even people you think were pretty competent, and just different things like it. So it's a tricky business. And then the people, whatever, lower level people, and sometimes that's the best place to be, but the lower level people don't fully appreciate or understand what the pressures are on that manager at whatever level he or she is at, right? Because there's somebody above them wanting this done, needing this tomorrow and that Thursday, and then all that's passed on down, and they look really bad if the people underneath them are not fulfilling, their duty, all that kind of. You all know all that. Why am I even talking about it? But anyway, I did get off on that for some reason. Why did I? I don't know. I just like to yak, I guess. But anyway, yeah, 10 millimeter. Got it out today, and was doing a video with it, and it was still dirty, and I didn't shoot it as much as I wanted to in the video. I think I told y'all I ran across an ammo can, one of the bigger 50 caliber ammo cans, full of my hand loads of 10 millimeter. Okay, and we were running low. Just got some in, but we're running low on 10 millimeter from Federal, and just got some in. But I still had some mags loaded from the other day where I was shooting some of that in a video, some of the hand loads. And that was a pleasant surprise to discover that ammo can. It's not that I'm that stupid or forgetful, or maybe it is, but I load so many different cartridges, calibers, and for so many years. And I told you before, I have that approach where if I'm going to load 10 millimeter, for example, I get all my brass together. Okay, where is it all? And get all my brass and get bullets and get primers. Of course, these days I don't do much reloading, but get all my stuff together and convert the press, to 10 millimeter. Okay, and so once I do all that, that's what I do for maybe a week off and on. I just load 10 millimeter for an hour or two, one night or whenever, and the next day or so. I just till I load through all of that generally. Okay. And put it in cans or wherever, and then move on to something else maybe, or not load anything for a while. But I just sort of do it that way often. And I shoot a fair amount of 10, but not I don't know, maybe not as much as some of you. And I just kind of forgot about it. Really, I had a can of 10 millimeter. It's a pretty sight, I tell you, these days to find something like that. And I think I posted that picture on Instagram a month or 2 or 3 ago. So anyway, 10 millimeter. I was in the mood to shoot this Glock 20 some more. It's pretty cool. We've been shooting the Springfield Ronin in 10 millimeter. That is a nice pistol. We did a couple of videos with it. You'll be seeing that. And do a little comparison, and had this out, got it dirty. So before I cleaned it, I wanted to shoot it some more. I didn't really shoot that much in that video. And so that's why I had the Glock 20 out. Really, really nice. And keep us going. Can I shoot again? Yeah. Well, and then of course, Talon grips. I don't have any on this yet. I want to get some of their new ones for this one. I did something different. I need to let them know. I put... well, really, this is, I think, the only Glock I have put this backstrap on. The, what do they call that, with the beaver tail on it. Mainly because it's a kind of a harder kicking 10 millimeter, big gun, makes it a little bigger. It's not like I'm going to pack it a whole lot anyway in a pocket holster or anything. So typically I don't need those. I don't get slide bite for some reason. Don't know why. Some people do with a Glock. You would think I would. With the size of my hands and everything, being an old guy, but I don't get slide bite with a Glock, and but it does feel a little better, and I kind of like that in this big old Glock. So anyway, with that on there, and I need to get the correct Talon grips for that. With the new Pro Series stuff. Put that on there. The Gen 4 Glocks are not as bad as the earlier ones in terms of their grip, but you can always improve it, and so that helps it out. So anyway, I'll get some of those on there and bring it out again. How's that? Yeah, I was going to shoot it. Can I shoot it? And then Ballistol. Appreciate Ballistol's help. Got some of that on here. Get my ears in. Don't have any Ballistol on my ears, I hope. Am I recording, testing? Yeah, I am. Okay. So we'll make sure I wasn't really talking to the trees. Wouldn't that be funny if I just sat here and shot and talked for about an hour and then realized, oh, I should have turned the camera on. Many of you would be saying, no, you shouldn't have. Just don't bother. Might be better if you don't. Let's put one out at 80. Good old 10. And how about a bowling pin with this 10? Yeah. How about one back there, a little further away? Whoa! I spun him. I was trying to do that. Did you notice that? I hope you could tell. I spun him around without him falling over. That was intentional. If you believe that, I've got some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. Okay, Nevada. Yeah, 10 millimeter is a nice round, and I won't say it's made a comeback. It never did really go anywhere. It's just an interesting cartridge. It had a nice little following when it got cranking out. You know, what, 35 years ago? However long it's been. And it's just gradually built, really, hasn't it? Gradually built. For a long time, there wasn't much. The Delta Elite from Colt. You had the Glock 20 and a couple others, and then, yeah, just very slowly you would see a company add a 10 to their lineup, and now through that process, wow, it's hard to find a company that makes 1911s that doesn't have a 10 millimeter, I guess. And of course you got SIG, they have some nice ones, and Glock, of course, has the 3, the 29, the 20, and the 40. I guess that's all right. I understand they're coming out with, I've been seeing, I don't know if it's real, a 43 or 43X in 10 millimeter. I mean, if that's real, if that's true, it'd be a different model number. It wouldn't be a 43. It'd be whatever number they give it, I guess. But I don't know how you do that in a gun that small and that light in 10 millimeter. I'm not recoil sensitive, but I don't think I'd want to shoot that with hot rounds. When you put some warm rounds in this, which I'll do just for kicks, those are nice loads that I'm shooting, my hand loads. They're similar to the standard range loads, federal loads. Probably not, probably a little hotter even. But I'm going to shoot a couple of these. I always forget what they're called, the trophy bonded rounds. Just to remind myself I'm shooting a 10. Yeah, I wouldn't want to fire one of these things, or even my hand loads or the standard range ammo. I don't think in a 43 and 10 millimeter. My gosh, in a Glock 43, you know, even some hot 9, you know you're shooting a pistol, don't you? Yeah. So in terms of, I mean, not that I couldn't do it, but in terms of controllability, I don't know. It's just like, why would you do that? I don't know. I guess they could redo the spring and maybe add a little weight to it. I don't know. It could be done. Let's see if these will go through paper. Oh, yeah, it did. How about a red plate? Oh, these are pig rounds I've got in here, so let's take out that pig. Oh, yeah. Yeah, good old Glock 20. Even some people who don't like Glocks, but are fond of a 10 millimeter cartridge, I think actually have held their nose and bought Glock 20s. Yeah, really, or 40s. Because it is a nice Glock, or a nice 10 millimeter pistol. Lots of capacity. When you think about it, you've got wow, 15 rounds of 10 millimeter. I mean, I can put trophy bonded, or this HST. Well, no, these are trophy bonded as well. I can put 15 of those things, in the guns. 15 plus 1. I guess I can get a plus 2, and I can have almost 20 of those things in a gun that I can just carry on my belt without any trouble. And that's one of the appeals of the Glock, and especially because it's known for being reliable and withstanding the pressure. They don't have the problems that they had with the early Delta Elites. I guess they fixed that, I believe. You're asking a lot of a 1911, that high pressure cartridge, but the Glock always seems to hold up to it. I'm not familiar with anybody that's had trouble, with a Glock 20 or Glock 40 or Glock 29. Glock 29 is pretty cool. It does kick a little bit more, of course, but nice. I'll shoot that. Well, what was I going to talk about? I don't know. Last week I forgot to. I had my mule parked over there. When I drove up, I remember thinking, well, I'll just drive it over here sort of into the camera a little bit. I'm always talking about it and pointing at it, and, and referring to it. And people are thinking, well, it's a fictional four-wheeler I'm always talking about. It's one of the deals where I wish I had one or something. So I we're going to show it all. I just thought I'd just park it where we could kind of see it a little bit. My little red buggy. And I did, but it was behind me, so I forgot. I looked at the first part of that video. I was, oh, that's right, I parked the mule there so they could see it. And they probably wondered what that was about, and wondered if I was going to shoot it or something, or use it as a rifle rest or a pistol rest or something. But anyway, because I was going to say too, I remember when I parked it there, I thought, I know I got it over there in the frame there. And again, another illustration of how just because something is out there on the range or doesn't mean I'm going to shoot it. I could park my four-wheeler over there on the hill. I could park it right here in the middle of the range somewhere, and if not for the lead splatter off of the steel plates, I'm not going to shoot it unless I aim at it and pull the trigger. Unless when I pull the trigger I see it in my sights and I go bang, then I'll hit it. In other words, if I want to shoot it intentionally, yeah, I could shoot it, but I'm not going to accidentally hit something that big or even small. When I'm plinking around at it, there's no pressure on me. I don't think y'all are giving me a grade, are you? This is not a marksmanship contest. I just like to shoot. But when I'm just plinking around like this, all right. Let's hit the cowboy. But when I'm out here plinking around, even, not in a precision match and just enjoying shooting, I think just in that mag, I missed a second or third shot on one of those plates there. But I just missed him by about that much. I saw it going by or hitting the dirt or tree, just like that much. So just because something else is out there, I go back to that video years ago when there was a dog on the range, behind me. But like right now, if I were talking and you saw my dog, which I don't have a dog, or a deer or anything, walking around over there in the range, he or she is not in danger. I'm not going to shoot that deer or that dog or that cat or that squirrel or anything unless I lay the sights on him and pull the trigger. Just not going to do that. Now, that's not to say it's not dangerous to be out on the range, because mainly from lead splatter, or even if all those targets were paper, maybe a bullet goes through into the ground and there's a little rock or something on top of the ground, and a piece of rock, splinters off and hits it. I mean, it wouldn't go very far, but somebody like right there close, or your car's parked there, or your dog, and put his eye out, so that's an issue. But you're not going to shoot the dog. Now, if you have no experience shooting a handgun, you just not much at all. And when you shoot at targets like this, you're missing by 6 feet when you miss, or you're still pulling down the trigger, yanking the trigger, and you're doing all that stuff, and you're in the dirt, pulling down at a target 50 yards away, and it's 4 feet in the air, and you're hitting the ground below it. You're really jerking the trigger occasionally, or whatever, or shooting 2 feet high, and all that sort of thing. It's a little bit different, all right. But by and large, I mean, just like I showed you there. Okay, so plinking around. So anyway, the vehicle, sitting on the range, I wasn't going to shoot it. I could have pulled it out a little bit further. As some of you know, one of the very first videos we did, in fact, the very first thing I did, I've always been a bit of a camera buff, a little bit, just mainly not a camera, what would you call it, a nerd in terms of being a student of cameras so much, but even back in the film days when the cameras started getting smaller, they were bigger than that, but about twice that big at least, where at least we could stuff them in your pocket if your pocket was pretty big, or a jacket pocket without any trouble. The point and shoot cameras, I still got one. It was a Vivitar, Minolta, or some kind of thing. Used film camera, point and shoot, but it's not too small, but not too big. And I could put it in my pocket, especially in the baggy jeans pockets like I wear. And I would carry that a lot. And then with digital photography, I got hooked on the little digital, the ELF, the Canon ELF cameras. And those were really nice, right? And they got a lot smaller than they were initially, but I had one of the earlier ones that was a little bit bigger. I carried, that would have been around late 90s, I guess. And resolution wasn't all that great. It was better than most other things like that. And then you could do movies. The pictures were fine. The movies were low resolution. And that's what I used, something, I don't know, second generation of those or third on that very first video called 45 Colt. If you go back to the first video posted on our channel, me shooting the 5 shots at the buffalo with the black powder, that I just had in my pocket. That's the only reason that was videoed, is because I always had one in my pocket, just like we now have a phone all the time. And I pulled it out and I just held it there and shot, and so there I had it. And but anyway, it was with probably that same camera. A buddy of mine was out shooting with me one day, and I had the Honda Element then, and I had it up on the upper part of the driveway. And I just opened the doors and I put a chair out there, and I said, "Won't you film me doing this?" And I put a chair out there and I just shot. I still got that. It's an old MPEG. Shot through the Honda Element over onto the range. And then later I did it myself. I put it on a tripod, and that one was a little better video. And I put it down kind of where the shooting table is on the driveway there. The Honda Element, opened up the doors, and I shot through it quite a bit with a Glock 27 or something. And posted those on this channel. And those were some of the very first things we posted ever. Just goofy stuff. I've told these stories before. Many of you haven't heard it, but because that's back in 2007, I guess, when I set up the channel, where that's all people did on YouTube. Seemed like just goofy stuff. That's what it was for, really. Cat videos or something goofy. And there was probably some educational stuff on there too, even back then. I just wasn't aware of it. And I wasn't into it. But those were up there a while, and people would give me a hard time for shooting through the car and being reckless and that sort of thing. But it was kind of the same deal. I think that's why it came to mind. It looked more reckless than it was. We did a video later, it might have been a year later, I don't know, back when we actually started the videos. I forget what's the name of that. Shooting through my truck or something. I have to find that. It's still up, but I think it's shooting through my truck or something. And we parked, which truck was it? It was the old green truck, I guess. The green truck that John has now. And I just parked it there on the driveway, opened the window, and literally did the same thing, but all I had were the windows open. There weren't any big, suicide doors or anything like on a Honda Element. It was just the windows. It was just a 2-door truck, and I just shot through it at some targets. So I'd be kind of careful on that one. That one was some precision shoot, a little bit. Well, it wasn't all that hard, but still, it looked harder than anything else we did, and it's a deal where you could shoot the truck pretty easily if you flinched. Okay, so even that though is my point. You're shooting at a target. If you see that video, look it up. Shooting through my truck, I think it's called. Yeah, if you're not shot much, wow, that looks dangerous. Oh man, he doesn't like his truck, does he? He's risking his truck and all that kind of thing. But then again, it's because you're shooting it. Think about parking out a Rolls Royce or a Mercedes out on the driveway and opening the window and shooting through it. I mean, yeah, really, wow, look at the risk in that. But what would be the difference between that and putting, that target, the paper part of that target, yeah, it'd be about the same. Putting that out there, so say that's a Mercedes sitting there, I've got the window open, and I'm just going to shoot through the other side and hit something on the other side of the car, and I've got an opening that's almost as big as that white paper. Yeah, well, I'm not likely to miss that paper, am I? So I shouldn't miss shooting through the car. Now, I'm not advocating you do this, okay? Boys and girls, do not do this at home. I'm a professional. Or what's Paul Harrell say? I'm what you call a professional. Yeah. Now he is. I'm not really, but I can call myself. So yeah, I'm not advocating you do that. Just kind of explaining. I don't know. There's just a lot of people that think guns are. It kind of falls under that same category. The guns are just wildly dangerous. You know, semi-automatics. You're putting bullets out so fast, or a full auto, or just whatever. You know that man, one of those could go anywhere. Somebody could get hurt. What are you shooting that? You're going to hit that other whatever that's over there, or that tree or something. Well, it's a lot more precise than it appears, isn't it? Sometimes you're looking down that sight, and like on any of these targets you see out here, if I just have a reasonable trigger pull, right, I should not miss. I shouldn't miss the target, but I shouldn't miss more than like inches. Okay. How'd I get off on all that? Who knows? So speaking of accuracy, I know some of you, I saw last week, you don't watch Super Bowls. You don't care for football, or you've been turned off by it, and I have too, to an extent. I get weary of being talked down to as if that is this weird world. It's like everybody out here now, everybody is being treated like we're all of us are bigots. And so media is taking on the responsibility of re-educating everybody and trying to get us all out of this incredible level of intolerance that we've been living. It just does get weary, doesn't it? Oh man, everybody's a supremacist of some sort, right? Well, there's a lot of social justice supremacists out there. Is that the word? I'm not thinking today, but you do get so weary of that. Oh man, they don't even realize how ridiculous they are, how stupid they are, how unwoke they are, really unenlightened they are. But anyway, enough on that. So I did watch the Super Bowl, and it's pretty interesting, and it reminded me of how we love superheroes, don't we? We just love superheroes, and I think that's one reason so many people. Now, you may have hated, even if you watch football, you might hate Tom Brady, but there's just something cool about somebody who gets to that level of something. It's like Michael Jordan. We could name a lot of people, right? Picasso, or anybody who is just unbelievable at something, whatever they chose to do. Like Rob Latham, great poets, anybody we can think of, but to have, and some of it's random. It's just the way the chips fell, and perfect storms here and there maybe, but to be able to even be in 10 Super Bowls, there are so many super players out there that are incredible, have never been in one. Was it Dan Marino never won one, did he? He was amazing. So, I mean, it can just work out that way. Some incredible basketball players that were as good as maybe anybody out there that never won a championship for just various reasons. Just didn't have the right team mix, or whatever might happen. maybe came close a couple of times or whatever. Happened to be in the league the same time Jordan was there. So it is pretty amazing, really amazing. And then on top of that, you got a guy who, by all descriptions and reports, Tom Brady is just a phenomenal fellow. You know, everything negative about him seems, and has it's like idyllic life in a lot of ways. But we love superheroes, and that's kind of where that falls under, I think. You know, I remember hearing Colin Cowherd, who's a sports guy, an intelligent one. Whether you agree with him or not, he's an intelligent one, and very intelligent. But he was talking about how we always complain. This was a year or so ago. I heard him talking about how we just express so much disgust at, like, the Yankees back when they were winning everything, or the Celtics were always winning, or the Lakers, or the Dallas Cowboys, and the Patriots. How it was, it's just, I don't know if fashionable is the word, but it's just so in to hate on these incredibly successful teams that just keep winning. And it's understandable, isn't it? You know, you've got a team, you live in a city where you support your team, and they just can't get past the Patriots or the Cowboys or whoever it is, depending on the era, right? Or the Green Bay Packers back when they were always winning, or Alabama, college team, you know. So we love to hate those teams and those players, people who are that good, and just keep winning year after year. Oh no, not this again. They put my team out again, or whatever it might be. So lots of good reasons not to like them. But one of the points he was making, though, was how we actually do like them. And dynasties are extremely good for the league, or whatever league it is. I think he had done some research in how just the overall viewership was down in various sports because they just didn't have any interesting thing going on, a dynasty, you know, like the Yankees or the Celtics, or in football like the Dallas Cowboys. And part of his point was how parity, you know, is good, where they've got the drafts and everything set up to where the talent is spread out more than it used to be in the early days of some of these leagues. And so you could be in a smaller market, Nashville or somewhere, and have a team that could possibly get to the Super Bowl. Where if it were just based on, say, the money in the market and all that right there in that town, like Green Bay, Wisconsin, or something, then it's harder to do that, you know. And but now where it's all spread out, like the TV money is shared, and the draft, and you know how drafts work. It's the worst team you have, the better pick you get the next year, and all that kind of thing, to where you're trying to even up the teams. But when it seemed like the better, his point was the more parity there is in a league, the less excitement there is and less viewership in a lot of ways. You almost need a dynasty for people to hate, right? You bring people to it, you know. Same with an individual player. If you have a Michael Jordan in the league, you know, when he left, you know, the ratings went down on the NBA, you know, and you might talk about hating like the Patriots or Tom Brady or whoever it might be, but in a lot of ways we really don't hate them. It brings us back. It's interesting to watch. Or Mahomes, you know, someone that good who is probably the next Brady. And just even more exciting, probably a better player in a lot of ways, all around, athletically, at least. But and he'll have his turn now, but I would guess. But anyway, just interesting that somebody we like Superman. Look at the comic books. Superman was one of my favorites back in the day, and you know, all those superheroes that we grew up with, we just love it. You know, we think about it and fantasize being able to be that strong, like the Man of Steel, and bend a steel rod, and bullets bounce off of us, and be able to fly. Doesn't hurt either, right? But we just love that. You know, somebody that nobody is going to defeat. You know, and so I think some of that transfers to sports. It's just really cool to see somebody who can do what Patrick Mahomes can do. Amazing, falling down, his head's almost on the ground. He throws a perfect pass to the end zone 40 yards away. He even did that last night a couple of times. Unbelievable. And Michael Jordan, you know, and then of course Tom Brady and many others. It's just phenomenal to see human beings who can do those things, and we just like it. Rob Leatham, same thing. I mean, I've shot enough to. That's one thing. If you haven't played sports, you might not even be able to appreciate the skill it takes, like that you see on the screen sometimes, to actually how good they are. Okay, somebody at that level. Well, I played just enough that I can appreciate it. And the same with shooting. I've shot enough that I watch Rob Latham and some of those guys and say, wow, it's just amazing how fast they can put all those rounds into, the same hole, move on, do the same thing at the next target, and it's just phenomenal. Really, it is. So it's cool. They're like supermen. Someone who reaches that level, and I don't mean to be to worship these people as an idol. It's just cool though when somebody just reaches the pinnacle of human capabilities, almost, and then also throw in a little luck, and it's just neat. I like it. Now I know it's not the right attitude. We're supposed to hate on them, envy them, right? And tear them down, because that's what we like to do. We like to build people up and then tear them down, right? That's the next step. It's fun building them up and seeing them achieve, and then it's even more fun just ripping them up, or whatever it might be at that point, because they're superheroes we're able to rip up, So anyway, that's my little speech on that. I enjoyed it, and I'm like a lot of people. I'm really fed up with everybody judging the rest of us, right? Because it feels so good. It's such an extreme example of virtue signaling. The rest of you people just are not woke. You're not. You're just Neanderthal bigots. You don't realize it. Let us clue you in. Really? Yeah, can I shoot? I better. All right. Oh man. 10 millimeter. I got a little ammo, so it's incumbent upon me to shoot for you. Okay, I have to do it. Whatever you want me to shoot. What do you want me to shoot? I mean, you're the boss. Okay, the cowboy again. All right. All right. The gong again. Okay. You really want it? Somebody said the coffin. I'll try it. Am I steady enough today? Boom. If I slow down, I'd be steady enough. How about the pig, okay? I mean, 10 millimeter is a good old hog gun. You could do a lot better. You could even shoot paper with it if you wanted. Yep, the old Glock 20 is a pretty nice pistol. And this is a Gen 4. You'll have the Gen 3. We did a comparison video. Have we posted that one yet? We might not have. I compared the Gen 3 and the Gen 4. I'll get that up if we haven't. With the shutdown over the last year, John and I have done a lot of videos, and we got several like in the bank. So again, I'm not going to be out here freezing to death this winter. That's for sure. And even for this. So like I said, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel though. We're like kind of the middle of February, so another month we'll be going the other direction on weather. But I see some really cold weather looking, bad weather like in the future here, looks like. So I may do what I said I'd do. I might just, the next time, I'm not going to schedule a shoot or what I'll do. The next time I'm in the mood to shoot something and the weather is decent, I'll bring it out here and shoot, and I'll film it, okay? And then I'll save that as a Sunday shoot around, all right? Because that's what this is all about. It's a gun I want to shoot, and it's a chance to touch base with you all, and just something I want to shoot, whatever it might be. And even if it's a couple of weeks old or something, and because it's rainy and cold and messy, and I really can't get out and shoot, and don't want to get out and shoot, then it's still fairly timely. That's the nice thing about this. I'm kind of checking in every week. And so far it's been every single week, hasn't it? Yeah. Okay. So, well, anything else I'm going to talk about before I shoot the last rounds here? Do I have any advice? I've been throwing my big opinions out already, haven't I? What about vocabulary? Did I make anything? I love vocabulary and words. Words mean things, like I still see people calling it, we get that periodically, occasionally, but other people sellouts all the time, or shills for this, or sellouts for that, or whatever. And it almost every time I see that word or phrase used, or whether it's against us or you or anybody, almost every time it's used incorrectly, because if somebody's a sellout or a shill or whatever, they're what would be the strict definition, they are taking money, or they're getting some benefit and twisting their own integrity or opinions because somebody is paying them. They're not being true to themselves or to the viewers or whatever it might be. Okay, like someone who is against smoking is accepting sponsorship from a cigarette company or a cigar company or something. Extreme or clear example, of that sort of thing. But what it usually, the way people are using that, whoever it is, young people, old people, I don't know, envious people mostly, right? But they're using it in the context where they just don't agree with someone who is helping you, is what it comes down to. It's really what it is. I mean, if I'm a big fan of Chevy and I hate Fords for whatever reason, and I see a video in somebody or a show, whatever it might be, and they're sponsored by Ford, well, that's just dumb. It's like what you see. There's a shield for Ford, for the Ford Motor Company. There's a sellout to the Ford Motor Company. It's only because you don't like Ford. Okay, so whatever it is, that's usually what it amounts to. If some company is supporting us or anybody else, and somebody doesn't like that company or that product or whatever it might be, that's all it is. It's not, you're not a sellout unless you're bending your integrity for something, okay? Something you don't believe in. And so it's just really on the commenters, from the commenters, it's the commenters' problems, what I'm trying to say. They just don't like whatever it is, the product or the company. So they don't like Ford or whatever it might be. Even when we were being sponsored by the NRA, which that was a little, if we probably shouldn't have, if we could rethink that and go back in time, maybe we would have, because we thought seriously about it, but we don't review gun rights organizations, so anything we don't review, then obviously we're not being a hypocrite in any way. But even with that, any of the criticism we got, it was from people who didn't like the NRA. We're not being hypocrites. I'm supporting the NRA, been a member since I was 20 or even before years old, and so so it was just people didn't like the NRA. And so we're sellouts or shills or whatever. Well, no, they're one of our sponsors. We don't review gun rights organizations. Like we could take money from Ford unless we reviewed pickup trucks. Then we just have to review nothing but Ford, right? You follow me on that? So anyway. So that phrase is misused. Maybe one of the most misused phrases, because I see as I prowl around videos and blogs and different things, people being accused of being sellouts and just used wrong. It's just incorrect. The word is. Now, if you want to say, I don't like Ford or whatever, I don't like the people that help you, that's different, So anyway, but you're not a sellout unless, and of course, if you have a little bit of integrity, you're not going to take help from something you hate. For example, if I did not like Talon grips, I really hated those things, but they wanted to sponsor us, so I'll pretend I like them. you know, barrel style, same thing. Using both products long before the sponsorship, you know. So, you know, it's just the way it is. You all know that. I ain't telling you nothing, but I don't know. I don't know who I'm talking to. Yes, I do. I'm talking to you all. I'm talking to people of all ages, really. Talking to people who are very young, watching even these, very new to our videos. People, I don't know, 20 maybe, you know, and people are 40, people are 70, because I hear from all of you, and you tell me often your ages, and I saw a couple of comments just this week. Wow, I see more and more of those, as I've been watching your videos since I was 10, you know, and all this kind of thing. I bought my first gun, and all that. So I know we have all ages and all experience levels, and so anyway, I bore a lot of you, but hopefully some of what I say makes some sense to somebody in some age group and maybe slightly helpful. I don't know about that. That might be a stretch, helpful. But I try to make a little sense. And I don't know what else I need to tell you. You know, again, the Glock 18 is back on its way. So it is fixed. I'll let you know more specifics, you know, about that. But so that's cool. Glock fixed it for Silencer Central. And again, some of you were commenting about how, wow, that's a tough call to make. You know, I broke your gun, your Glock 18 and all that. And yeah, and that's one reason. Yeah, I was on the phone right after the video just to let them know. But because it, you know, it's just, I always hate to break somebody else's stuff. Oh man, through my life I've been really reluctant to borrow machinery from anybody or even borrow stuff. And but this is a little different. It's you know, it's most of what we borrow we get from other people to use or whatever. It's a company we're working with, and they want the exposure, you know, whatever happens, you know, and all that kind of thing. And it's kind of for the exposure, you know, and so it's a little different. But and then too, you know, it's just one of those things, you know. It's like you're driving somebody else's truck, you know, and they've lent you, and the tire wears out. Finally, it was about to go. Yeah, I mean, that gun, that metal had reached the point where it was going to go. I would guess on that round, because there was nothing we were doing any differently, just shooting factory ammo, and you know, and not even particularly high pressure ammo or anything. So on that round, whatever round it was, in the life of that slide, whether it was 379,222, you know, whatever the round count was, it was going to go on that round. And so wouldn't you know it, it was in my hand when that round count came up. When my number came up, or when its number came up, it was in my hand. And in some ways that's good, and it was just under very controlled situations. I wasn't in a shootout with terrorists or anything and all that kind of thing. So, but all in all, they were really good about it. They said, don't worry about it, no problem, and got it sent back to Glock and got it fixed. So really good classy outfit, Silencer Central. Yeah, really classy outfit. Because they knew that would bother me, you know, some, and so they were really good about it, and already fixed. That's just been a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. So anyway, I'll let you know more about that. So I'm gonna shoot maybe one more time. I'm gonna get out of your hair. I really am. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that. Speaking of Silencer Central, that quiet big game hunt this week. It wasn't that cool. That was a lot of fun. Oh man, 300 Blackout. It just doesn't exist. And you know, in this ammo apocalypse, and I found I was in a shop, and they had I bought 200 rounds of that stuff. Paid an exorbitant price for it a month ago, maybe or more, because it was the heavy bullets, and I've got to do something with this. You know, we haven't shot the 300 Blackout, and it's just hard to find. And I was in the mood to shoot it. Just haven't done it for a while. And now with the suppressors that we have access to, And I remember it being fun. It'd been years, I think, since I'd fired any 300 Blackout. And so that was really neat. If you've not shot a suppressor, especially one that really works with ammo like that, that's really truly subsonic, it's just cool. It really is. Now, I know I get tickled when I'm shooting them. It's just so strange. You stand here and shoot, you got all this blast and noise, and it's such a huge difference between blasting that steel like that and then with a suppressor pulling the trigger, and it's almost just a click, a poof, and it's just the sound of the steel. So I don't know, all that comes through on the camera, the speakers and everything, but it is just so dramatically different, and it's like you're in this different dimension or something, you know, because most shots you fire, I fire, probably, are just like that. They're loud, right? That's just shooting. So it just makes it so different that it makes it just humorous, I have to say. So anyway, I don't have any advice for young people this week. I'm sorry, young people. You can make it on your own. Just work hard and do what you're supposed to do. And really, you know, I've been saying that for years. Some of the expectations are so low these days, and there are so many slackers out there. There's my advice this week. You know it. You've seen some of your classmates. You know some of the people you hang out with that live in your neighborhood or whatever. A lot of slackers, I bet, right? You could name them. If you're not a slacker and you show up on time to school or work and you do what you're supposed to do, you show up early at work and you go the extra mile a little bit, even like early, maybe a little late. You know, you're not watching your watch, your phone. Who wears a watch anymore? I use my phone. I've never liked watches. I haven't. But, you know, and you just really take pride in what you do. And you understand the company you're working with. You understand the pressures and the problems that they have and that your manager has, like I was talking about earlier. And his job is not to spend 23 hours a day trying to understand you. It's to manage a department or get that fast food restaurant profitable and working right, or whatever it might be. So you need to help her or him all you can. Just do good work. You know, just do good work. My gosh, same for school. I wish I could go back and do school over. I didn't learn to enjoy school until, I don't know, about, I was junior or senior in high school, and then in college. I became a much better student when I got into college. I was just more motivated. I was more mature. And I'd love to go back and, and into those years, even into the 5th or 6th grade. No, I don't want to start over. No, I don't want to do that. But, oh man, I could have been such a better student so easily. You know, it just, yeah. So you don't get a second chance, you know, 5th grade, 6th grade, 12th grade, whatever it is, you know. So just have fun, but keep your nose to the grindstone. Schedule your work, you know, keep a to-do list and follow it, and just do good work. You may not do the best work in your class, and don't also, by the same token, be bent out of shape because you're not the number one person in your class, maybe, if that's not, you know, where you ought to be. Just do good work. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Most of the people I've worked with in a lot of different companies and places over the years, and did some hiring, a lot of hiring at one company and everything. You know, where somebody even went to school and all that, it mattered a little bit, but by and large, it was what their work experience was and their references, and what they did when they got there, and how they performed. You know, so don't major in figuratively speaking. Don't major in things that are unimportant, not as important. You major in with your interest and your effort in the things that make a difference. You know, just do good work. Put in the hours and the thinking and the analysis or whatever it is you do. Just do good work. Okay, doesn't have to be the best. You may not be. Sometimes I used to feel sorry for some students that so much. I was in private schools when I taught, and there was a lot of pressure. There's college prep schools, and there were always students who, it's funny how some people used to get bent out of shape if you call them kids. But those are probably some of the today's social justice warriors, but their kids are fine. It's just a word. But there were always, some students who things just came so easily for. And every single year, when it came time for awards, we always had academic awards, and it was mainly just based on the highest average, in whatever, 7th grade or 9th grade English, and so those were the awards, the medals. They were given in an awards day. They came up on stage, and Mary Lou would have the award for math 101 or whatever it was, and it was a big deal, highest average, and the kids would compete for that, of course. And but it would be so often those same students every year, because I had visibility on all of them. They were all in the middle school and high school. And I saw, so all the way from, I observed them from like 6th grade right on up, or 5th, all the way through high school. And it would most of the time be the same students. There'd be some little shuffling around who would have the highest average. And I always thought that was great, but then again, there were all these other kids who were almost at that level, and then others that were really sharp, and then other kids that were really sharp. They played a lot of sports, but they weren't at the very top, level. And I'm not one of those guys that thinks, well, we shouldn't give awards and everybody deserves a trophy. I'm not going there, of course. But then again, I think you have to be careful to think it a little more deeply, or overthink it probably. In some ways, there's another way to look at it too. Sometimes we might over-award some people or some students. And here's what I mean by that, because some students literally are just born with the capacity to do that math, whatever. It's just very easy for them. They don't even have to work at it. It just comes very easily. And same for any subject. And so every year, they're the ones that are trotting up to the stage to get that award around their neck, and a hug or a handshake, and be complimented. And then everybody else, you guys are just second class, sorry. That's an exaggeration. But in a moment of great insight, I remember sitting there in awards day. I was usually presenting awards, but I was thinking, in some ways though, this is great. Now, I love all these kids, students, but how different is that in some ways from, but not in every way, but in some ways from, let's give an award for the tallest student. How's that? I could have gotten that award. That's me. I was envious. I wanted an award for being the tall. But literally, some people are born with the physical, mental, physical. It's all kind of the same. You're born with this ability to compute math. It's just that simple. So you're the one who, all the way through school, is going to get that award. Doesn't matter how hard your classmates work at that, or how much they love mathematics. They just don't quite have that thing you were born with. Now, sometimes it's because they were born with some skills and they developed it, and they work their butts off, and that's how they get the award. Okay, so I'm not, so you get that too. But then again, it's a I don't know what the answer is, but it occurred to me, that's in a way, that's how different is that from giving somebody an award every year because they're the prettiest. I guess you could have that award too. We do. We have beauty contests, right? I never won any of those for some reason. But on one level, and I'm not being sour grapes because I never did, win those kinds of awards. It's just trying to overthink it a little bit, like Emerson would have done. Because so often it's based on effort, but it's not entirely effort. Because I know those kids very well. I spent a whole year with them in class. engage back and forth all year with everybody in that auditorium, whatever grade they were in, so I know them all, and that's part of where that thinking came from. Again, I'm not an advocate of everybody gets a trophy. I'm not saying that, but I knew I could name 50 of them that incredible workers and creative and loved all those subjects and were diligent students and just right on down the line, but they were never going up on stage. They never did get that award. They just didn't quite have that ability that some of them were born with, more or less. Okay, so and perhaps put in less effort than they did, and sometimes much less creativity than they have. That are sitting out there not getting the awards. So it's just food for thought. No answer. I don't have any bottom line on that, but it's just something to think about. And I got off on that because you may not be one of those persons. Don't be discouraged, because it's probably more discouraging for someone who is really smart and is close to getting that award and is working your butt off, and you just can't seem to get it. And those are the people who get discouraged, I think, probably most easily about things like that. But don't. Just work hard. Those are great to get those awards in school and everything. But once you get out of school, once you get out of college, and all that is so important to you when you're in college and you're in high school. And it is important. It follows you around to some extent, but not as much as a lot of people think it does. Not as much. It really doesn't. It's your work record that's the most important. What you do, what you actually do, what you actually can do, will do, your attitude, your creativity, all those skills of those people I was talking about that don't necessarily get up on the stage for. Many of those will be the ones that really make a difference and shine, in the company. Now, so think of Tom Brady. Back to Tom Brady, where he was drafted 199th or something. So the thing they couldn't measure at the time, I guess, was his work ethic, and his willingness to improve and all that. So I preached more than I meant to. I'm sorry. Since I did, I owe you a couple of shots. Let me find a couple. Okay, let's get a couple of these trophy bonded and just shoot them off, okay? Because I want to. I'm going to have to clean this gun. And if you haven't noticed, no matter how much you fire a gun, it really takes the same cleaning process, right? If you fire it 10 times or you fire it 500. I don't want to overshoot it, though. We're still sort of in an ammunition apocalypse. But let's take a few more. All right. Remember, I just do this for you all. I think I have left the propane tank unscathed so far. All right, nary a malfunction today. Imagine that with a Glock. By the way, I did not hit that bowling pin. What was it sitting on? It's sitting on top of the propane. It just fell off. It got hit with a little splatter or something, I guess, or got vibrated off. Yeah, I guess it was sitting on top of the, I don't know, can't say on top of the propane tank, and it fell right off. They make good targets. They really do. So I'm gonna let y'all go. And it's cold, but it's not horrible. So I might just keep you another hour. Yeah, I really might. So 10 millimeter is always fun to shoot, and it's just one of those guns. This is another firearm I keep handy. I keep it handy. Let's put it that way. But safe, safe, but handy. I can get to it in, about 3 seconds, 5 seconds or something. And I keep, here it is, with HST hollow points right there in it. And there's not much that won't handle, if I grab that. I kind of really believe that. Now, it's not necessarily my primary firearm, but it's one of them. And, just happens to be something a little tougher, strays into the yard, tries to stray into the house. I have that. I have shotguns. I can handle, I think, almost any situation. So as long as it doesn't take too much intelligence. Like I said, I was not one of those guys, people, students, kids that was going up on the stage to get the medals for having the highest average in class. All right. Yeah, I really had to tell you that, didn't I? you would never have believed that. Again, now there's another lesson for you youngsters. No, wait a minute, maybe it's not a lesson. Well, my lesson was going to be, I was an average student most of my academic career. I got a little better in college and became more interested in academics and things. Yeah, so I was about to. The lesson was going to be, I was just average when I was in school as a student, and look at me now. That was going to be my lesson. So, but then I got to thinking, now wait a minute, nah, that's not very valid now. So anyway, but yeah, really, you can kind of change gears, whatever your academic performance is right now, or even athletic. But if you've just been a little bit of a slacker, you've never been interested in academics, just step it up a little bit. It's amazing. To this day, I'm still amazed at how with just a little more effort, a little more focus, you can figure things out that you thought you could not figure out. Really, whether it's how to break down a gun or directions for something. Have you ever gotten something, I don't put that together. You look at the direction, gives me a headache to even look at it. I'm not gonna, I may never do that or whatever. But then you get out those same directions or whatever it might be, or a map, and you say, okay, I got a little downtime here. Let me look at that. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not stressed. Let me just look at that again. Figure it out piece by piece, just like a math problem or a word problem or something, in school or anything. Let me see if it's really that intimidating. Am I really that stupid? How does Joe figure that out? How does Joe do it? Because he ain't no smarter than I am. Let me see if I can figure that out. Let me come to a determination. Am I really this dumb? Am I really this dense? Let me look at this more closely. And guess what? You'll begin to see through it, and you put a little more time into it. Because I think a lot of times the reason we can't figure things out or we do shoddy work is we're just in a hurry. We just expect it to be really, really simple and easy answers. And sometimes you do have to focus and think about it a little bit and take some time with it, right? So I've taken too much of that time today, and I appreciate you all coming by. All right, getting some bad weather coming. Like I say, I'm a little earlier this week than normal, but 59. Wow, I tell you what, it's just hard to believe it's Valentine's Day, the 14th, and that it's come this quickly. It really has, and so hopefully in a few weeks we'll be beyond this cold weather and we'll start seeing things blooming. You will. Yeah, it's one thing about the week. It just happened last spring. It happens every spring, if you haven't noticed. Things start to bloom out a little bit. And the trees are not necessarily, most of them early. The poplars usually come on a little earlier. The harder woods, oaks and hickories are a little bit later. But we'll begin to see that maybe in a few weeks. We have some good weather. But before then, there's going to be some cold weather. So I'll see you again, and I'm glad you came by. I appreciate your support, and I hope the ammo situation gets a little better, the gun situation, and for everybody. And it's going to be a kind of a slow comeback, I think. I'm just afraid it is, but maybe we'll get through it all. Maybe this time next year, hopefully, we'll be living in a different world, I hope. One that's a little bit like the world we lived in a couple of years ago. Yeah, we'd all take that, wouldn't we? So I'm going to sign off and wish you well, because life is good.